Now, this is a good question from profit and loss. We will see that the question itself is not very difficult, but if we solve it using the traditional method, it would definitely be time consuming. So we will see what can be the better method which we can use to solve the question very quickly. What we have here is Anil is buying 12 toys and labeling each with the same selling price. He is selling 8 of these toys at 20% discount on the labeled price and the remaining 4 toys at additional 25% discount. Thus, he is getting total of 2112. So 2112 is the total selling price because that is the amount that he is getting. And he is making a 10% profit overall. We have to find his percentage of profit with no discounts. Now, the traditional method would involve using variables, calculating actual marked price, actual cost price. So I give you an idea about the traditional method. See, if I take the marked price to be M, okay, you can even take 100M if you want. That will make the calculation a bit easier. But still, if you take marked price to be M, then for 8 toys, total marked price will be 8 into M. And then we'll be selling them at 20% discount. So price will be reducing by 20%. So it will become 80% of the price. So this will be the selling price for 8 of the toys. And then remaining 4 toys, the marked price will be 4 into M. And then we will have the initial 20% discount. So the price will become 80% of itself. But now we will also have an additional 25% discount. So now price will reduce by another 25%. So it will become 75% of what it is. Okay, so when we add up the selling prices of 8 toys and 4 toys, we will get the total selling price, which is 2112. And now this equation we have to solve to get the value of M. But of course, solving this will not be very convenient, the calculation part. So I'm not going to do that. We'll look at the better method. Okay, but just to give you an idea about this traditional method, slightly more of an idea. Here we would get the marked price. And then we would also need the cost price. So that part would be simple, that we have a 10% profit. So selling price is 10% more than the cost price. So selling price is 110% of the cost price. Okay, so selling price of 2112 is 110% of the cost price. Now this calculation would not be difficult because 2112 is divisible by 11. 110% is 11 by 10. Okay, so after getting the cost price and the marked price, we would calculate the basically percentage increase from cost price to marked price. Because if there is no discount, then the marked price is the selling price. And then we'd get the profit percent. But of course, this would take a bit of time. So let's see a better method which would give us an advantage in the CAT. Now, first of all, to understand the logic behind the better method, we have to focus on what the question is asking. Question is asking for percentage of profit, not the actual profit in rupees. So do we really need this rupee value? We'll see that we don't, because we already have everything in terms of percentage. We have all the discounts in terms of percentage, and we also have the profit in terms of percentage. We need to calculate a final percentage value, and we already have all the information in terms of percentage. So the rupee value is absolutely unnecessary. It's redundant. And that will make the solution easier because 2112 is not a very convenient value for calculation. So that is one observation we have to make. Another observation is that 8 toys and 4 toys. Instead of taking the actual number of toys, 8 and 4, we can simply take the ratio. 8:4, we can simplify to 2:1. We couldn't have done this if we needed the actual profit in rupees. Or if we had done it, then we would have had to make an adjustment at the end also. But because we don't need the actual profit in rupees, we just need a percentage profit. Then we can just think whatever is the percentage profit with these values, 8:4. We'll get the same thing with these, 2:1, because it is the same ratio, same comparison. So 2 and 1 will be easier for calculation than 8 and 4 because we'll be dealing with smaller numbers. And now, since we don't need the actual value in terms of rupees, we can use a convenient value. We can let the marked price conveniently be equal to 100. Because 100 is usually convenient for percentage calculations, especially standard percentage values like 20%, 25%. So let's see what would be the selling prices. Now, for these 8 toys, initially we have 20% discount. So for these 8 toys, instead of which we are using 2 toys, the selling price would be 20% less than the marked price of 100. 20% less than 100 would of course be 80. So here we would get selling price of 80. And now for the remaining 4 toys, which we are representing by 1 toy, we need an additional 25% discount. So we already have 80. Now 25% of 80, that is 1/4 of 80, which is 20. So this price will be further reducing by 20 and it will become 60. So now we can easily find the total selling price here. And this will be very easy calculation. And then we can think that we have 10% profit. So selling price is 10% more than the cost price. Okay, so selling price will be 110% of the cost price. And selling price now, if we see, that will be 2 into 80, which is 160, plus 1 into 60, which is just 60. So we'll get 160 plus 60, which is 220. And 110% is 110 by 100, or you can even think of it as 11 by 10. So this is very, very easy calculation where we are just getting that cost price is coming out to be 200. And now cost price is 200 for all of these 3 units. So what will be the selling price of these 3 units if there is no discount? If there is no discount, we'll be selling them at the marked price of 100. And therefore selling price will simply be 3 into 100 for the 3 units. So that will be 300. Okay, so now you can easily see that from 200 to 300, we have 50% profit. Because 200 to 300, we have increase of 100. So profit of 100. And that profit of 100 is half of the cost price of 200. Half gives us 50%. So the profit percent is equal to 50%. That gives us the answer as option 2. So you can see that this method is much faster because we are simplifying everything. Instead of 8:4, 2:1. And instead of the rupee value, we are assuming a convenient value. We don't need the rupee value. Okay, the only thing you have to be careful about here, of course, is that this cost price is the total cost price of these 3 units. Because here we are looking at the total selling price of the 3 units. So obviously through that we will get the total cost price of 3 units. And this is where you just had to ensure that you're taking selling price here as 3 into 100 for the 3 units. Okay, so that is something very logical, very basic. But overall, this method would have given you a very good advantage in the CAT. Now try out this replica question using this better method. And make sure that you put your answer in the comment section.